Found my wife cheating on me last night. I met my wife in 2011. I was DJing a social event at school and playing some 90s rocks. I was playing Third Eye Blind, and my wife liked the song that came on. She talked to me. We bonded over our mutual love of the band. Yada yada. We started dating. Fast forward to 2013. We got engaged and we took a trip and to celebrate. We have this memory. We talk about a lot of listening to the whole Third Eye Blind catalog and singing along to all the songs together. We got married that year. Fast forward through our whole marriage. We had this thing where we would try to see the band as much as we could. We saw them whenever they were on tour, a total of 9 times during our 9 years of marriage. Last night, we were supposed to see them for the 10th time. If you're the math in your head, we've been married for 10 years as well. That's coming up in November. So I had this whole thing planned where we would go see the show, stay over at a hotel, have a romantic night. I get home from work on Friday. My wife is getting ready. She looks amazing. I see a text come on her phone. You know how the rest of the story goes. I don't even want to type it. She met some guy the night before when I was away for work. The part that killed me the most was she wrote that he needed to get condoms. And he's lol. So I'm left wondering, did they even use any? What does it matter anymore anyway? After reading that, I just left the house and started for the concert. She calls me about 15 minutes later like, "Where are you?" "Oh, you know, just on the way to the show." "What? Why?" "You know why." Think long and hard as to why I might be acting this way. I just hang up. Anyway, I think I was in shock still. I was pretty cool about it, but there's some backstory there I don't want to get into as to why I was prepared. She's cheated twice before in the past. I didn't really have any emotions at the time. Actually, when I started typing, this was the first time I felt anything. So she calls back and starts going through the motions. "Oh, we're just friends." "Oh, we didn't actually do it." "Oh, I was drunk." "Oh, it was just in a little bit." Then it was all come back and let's talk about this like adults, as if I'm the childish one for having stormed out. I'm thinking, no, if that happens, I'm not seeing this show. We're just going to talk about how she cheated and she's going to try and seduce me. And that thought grossed me out. I never thought about sex with my wife and felt gross. But then I did. So I got to the concert and the guy scanned my ticket. He looks at me and says there's 2 indicating that he wanted to scan the other one. I just stared at him blankly and said yes. "There's 2, and went inside. I was so weird. I felt like I was hypnotized. And then there was the show. Amazing show. I had a good time. I met some nice people in my row, and we had a fun time enjoying the concert together. Some lyric hit a little differently. I've never been so alone, and I've never felt more alive. I felt pretty alive at concert. I danced with the crowd and screamed my frustrations into the loudspeakers. No one could hear me over the loud rock music. It was over pretty early. I wanted to sit at the bar and drink, but that would have required talking to someone. And I just couldn't outside of the context of the concert. I was thinking about the texts again. So I went to the hotel I had booked for my wife and I, and went to sleep alone. I woke up to about 30 emails. She was up all night feeling all kinds of emotions, I guess. Guilt, shame, anger at me. Those were the most surreal. The one where she was mad at me for going through her phone. A lot of bargaining and pleading. The worst was she had sent me cards I had written for her years before. Anniversary cards, birthday cards, Christmas cards. I always wrote a letter for her, professing my love for her. I never used to write anyone cards like these, but I did for her. She used to write cards like these for me. She hasn't in a number of years. I think her intent was that upon reading the cards, my heart would soften and I would realize how much I loved her. I would come to my senses and come to her, and we would talk it through, and I would forgive her, and it would all be better. But instead, it just made me realize how much she doesn't love me. At this point, I can't forgive her. I forgave her once, and here we are. If I forgive her again, it's just a matter of when, not if. I'm back in this same scenario, writing sob stories on Reddit. The only question now is whether I respect myself to make sure this never happens to me again. Update 1. Don't leave the house, instead make her leave, unless it's under her name. This is the worst part. It's in both our names, and there's no way for me to make her leave. So it's either stay with her in our house, where she will make my life miserable, or I move out and get some peace. But leave behind all my stuff. My bed, which I never want again anyway. My pets, my garden. I've been growing all summer. Like, it's one thing that she cheated, but it's an entirely new injury, that now my life is completely uprooted. I'm living an hour from work now with my parents, because I'm a teacher and I don't get any income over the summer. I'm not getting paid again until the end of August, and the bank account is running dry. I'll be spending my last cents on rent for her to live in our apartment, probably with the dude I caught her with while I'm living with my parents. And I can't not pay the rent, because of course I'm on the hook for that legally. Oh, and the AC is broken at my parents' and won't be fixed for 3 weeks. It was 95 humidity earlier today, but it's cooled down to 87 after the rain. So I've got that going for me. Update 2. It's safer for me to just avoid her entirely. She's quick to call the cops during arguments, and even though they know me on a first-name basis at this point, and are aware of all her bullshit, they're still required to take her seriously every single time. And like I said, I'm a teacher and I have a public-facing job. So last thing I need is for some parent or someone else to get wind of these interactions somehow. I don't know if I'm being paranoid about that, but she says all kinds of shit. No one who knows me would ever believe what she says. But of course, not everyone knows me. And I definitely couldn't stand her getting laid while I'm not. We all know how it works. She can have a new guy every day of the week, whereas I'll be alone for the foreseeable future. That sounds like a fresh new hell. Update 3. Yup, as predicted, I just got this voicemail from her. Hey, I just wanted to let you know I took the drugs to the police. I took picture, and I sent them to your boss because I don't think you should be around children if you're doing black tar heroin. And maybe you should stop chasing the dragon. Now, I don't know if she's bluffing. She probably is because I can't fathom what she's even talking about in terms of heroin. I wouldn't even know how buy heroin, let alone do it. Update 4. I haven't mentioned this yet, but the thing that complicates all of this is that there's a significant mental health component. My spouse is bipolar. And this has caused me to grant her a lot of leeway in her actions. She always had an excuse about her mental illness, causing her to be impulsive sexually. So first time, she played the mental illness card. I forgave her for that. Second time, I had left her because her mental illness made my life unbearable. We lived separately and legally separated for a time. That's when she cheated again. We eventually got back together, and I forgave her again because we were on a break. And also, she convinced me that actually he got me drunk and took advantage of me. So really, it was rape. Now what's the excuse? There's nothing. 1. 0 She texts him that she wanted him to come over. She texted him the address. 30 minutes later, he texts back. I'm here. She texts door is open. Nothing until 11 a.m. next day. She says, my thighs are well rested. You gave me the best night rest I've had in a long time. She tells him she wants him to get condoms for next time though. He texts back lol, and she texts back a 2 exclamations reaction to that. I just took some screenshots, sent them to myself, and then left. The story is over.